So we're talking normal is 4 to 5 storms, we're talking about 2 to 4. So it means fewer storms, but all it takes is one, and that could be the one that gets us. So typically, our storms will come from Central America, work their way east to west across the Pacific. They tend to drift south of the island based upon our weather patterns, our trade wind pattern that helps to kind of deflect them that way. We need to watch out when our trade wind pattern is disrupted. That leaves the door open for storms to come in from either from the east, southeast, or from the south that could work their way back up through the state. So as a storm approaches, the east and northeast sides of the storm are the most dangerous. That's where you're going to see the strongest winds and the biggest potential for deep and strong storm surge, where the water surges in off the ocean because of those strong winds. So it's really the east and northeast sides of the storm. Now, all sides of the storm could be bad, but the strongest winds typically are on the east and northeast side. So the season for tropical cyclones in the Central Pacific, including where Hawaii is located, runs from June 1st to November 30th. We tend to see the most storms in July, August, and September. Now, we've recorded storms in the last 40 years in every month of the year except for February and May. So the season is really all year, but the peak runs from June to November. There are 3 categories of storms that we'll be forecasting advisories on. A depression has winds up to 38 miles an hour. And we'll give it a name like TD1 or TD2. Progressing from there, 39 up to 73 miles an hour is a tropical storm, and we'll give that a name. And then from 74 miles an hour on up, it'll be a hurricane. It'll keep the same name as when it was a tropical storm to kind of carry it through. The impacts from a tropical cyclone, whether it's a depression, a storm, or up to a hurricane, can be very dramatic and cataclysmic for the state, really. As you progress up the scale towards a hurricane, you're talking more wind damage. Winds that could be gusting 150, 160 miles an hour, and that could do some major, major damage. Also, storm surge will be a big deal, where the winds push up the ocean surface and the ocean rushes in, similar to a tsunami, but a little bit different, where that the wave won't go in and out. Like a tsunami wave, it'll come in until the winds die off, and then the winds will back off. The waves will back off from there. And we also have to be dealing with flooding. So as you go a tropical depression and a tropical storm, the biggest threats in general are rainfall. Heavy, heavy rain. The storms are moving slower, and there's a little bit less wind, so you get some wind impacts, but the rain will be the big deal. A hurricane is typically moving faster and has stronger winds and more surge, and potentially less rain. But really, you could get all 3 impacts at various levels with each one. But typically, it's more rain with a depression and a storm, and more wind with a hurricane. For the kits, it's really important to make sure you have food and water. The necessities of life, right? And supplies, things like medications. It's good to have your official records. Okay, you have copies of some of the things, the documents that make you, so you can be recognized. To have a copy of those with you in a plastic bag and safe. You want to have batteries, flashlights, radios, fuel in your vehicle. And when we talk about food and water, about 2 weeks worth of food and water and a 10-day supply of medications. And that's for each person. So if you have a family of 6, 8 people, multiple families in your home, you want to have enough food for each of them for 2 weeks and enough medication for 10 days and all the documents. So it could be quite a bit. So the key is to start early and do it little by little and add it up over time. And then you've got a base, and you can recycle things through as you need to take some food items out as they're getting older, use them, put in new food items. But you have your base there, and you'll be set and ready to go.